Today's episode is brought to you by the book Everyone is a Sinner But Me, available now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Pre-recorded from Volpes Studios, it's the MCS1 show. And now your host, MCS1.
Welcome everyone to another amazing edition of the MCS1 show. I'm MCS1, and today I have a special guest with me, my dear friend Tanner Rahlf. Welcome, Tanner.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Oh man, I'm happy to have you here. Like, seriously.
We've talked a long time about doing this.
We have, and so I'm like really happy to have you here.
Yeah, I did.
And for those of you that don't know, which is probably everyone, Tanner isn't really around Provo, Utah, Happy Valley area very much. You go up to school in Rexburg, Idaho.
Yeah, BYU, Idaho.
And so I'm happy that you were able to come down sometime and able to meet with me. I have some very unique stuff I want to mention about Tanner before I even get into my topic. This is gonna be fun. So Tanner, I want to let you know that you have actually influenced some topics on the show.
Yes.
So this is I did a show a little while ago. It actually hasn't aired yet, to be honest.
Oh, awesome.
It's I pre-recorded all my shows despite what the announcer says.
What?
And and this one's on the Happy Valley drivers.
Oh my gosh, man.
And so I was thinking about doing this show for a while, and then what really pushed me over the edge to do it was you posted on the Quote Wizard article about how they're #1 bad drivers.
Yeah,
in
I
the
I remember
US.
this.
And you have the status. I'm just going to share it with everyone at home along with this. It says, one time I was bumper to bumper traffic on I-15 just north of Ogden. Stressed from the delay of my trip, I was curious what caused the backup. 45 minutes, I got my answer. A wreck on the other side of the highway. Not to side we were going, but across the median on the shoulder furthest from us was a wreck. And then you said, Utah, you incompetent, selfish, ignorant, rubbernecking drivers. You deserve this ranking. And congratulations, you managed to do it sober, all sober.
Yeah.
And I read that and I was like, wow, that is, I didn't mention it on the show because I knew I was going to have you on here
Awesome.
later. But I was just like, I read that and I could not stop laughing. And it piqued my curiosity enough to check this article because living in Happy Valley, I know Utah drivers are really bad. I mean, I did a whole show discussing it.
Yeah.
But I needed something to boost me and some credible article because there's been articles like Provo has the best drivers in the U.S., Provo Buzz, and things like that. Like local media would say that. But this was something to help push me over the edge. So thank you for that, Tanner.
Yeah, that's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I get so stressed driving here. It's the worst.
It's
and
crazy.
Yeah. I remember that trip, man. That was we were late starting our trip. We were going up for Thanksgiving break to up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is like 16 hours away from here, 12 hours. I can't remember. It's a long drive.
Yeah. And
so we got to Ogden, and it was just that same thing, bumper to bumper for 45 minutes on the other side. That's the worst part. Like,
on the shoulder.
Yeah, on the shoulder. On the other, like on southbound 15, there was a wreck, and northbound 15 is bumper to bumper traffic. I mean, I've never wanted to strangle someone so hard in my life out of frustration. It's, oh my gosh, man.
And the sad thing is, that's somewhat, I want to say, a common thing.
Yeah.
But things like similar to that do happen a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, you see that in other states a lot.
In Utah.
You see it a lot more in Utah. Like Virginia is really bad with this too, though. So I shouldn't say Utah's the only bad one. Virginia, specifically the DC area, which I've been to numerous times, is pretty bad with the whole there's a few theories online called like the snake effect or something like that, where one car slams on the brakes and it causes another car to slam on the brakes, and it just snakes its way back to the point where there's no even source of the original accident.
Oh no.
But everyone is bumper to bumper. And so since there's only 2 lanes in Virginia on the highway near DC, you see a lot of that going on. And so it's not like it's the most uncommon thing. You do see it a lot more in Utah, I feel. But what made this one particularly stressful is that it was on the other bloody side. It wasn't the southbound 15 literally had no effect on northbound.
No snake going or nothing.
It was almost like it was habit for Utah drivers to be like, oh, there's an accident. Better just slow down here.
And look over.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Oh, definitely. Utah drivers get very curious, which isn't, I shouldn't say that's necessarily, it is bad. It's bad when you're a driver, but it's understandable to get curious.
Yeah.
You want to know what's going on.
Time and a place for everything.
No, for sure. Yeah. Time and a place. Yeah. Just read about it in your paper the next day or something like that.
Yeah. And then another thing I want to mention about you that you did this a while ago, and you can talk more on this. The Day of Coke.
Oh yes,
that you did at BYU Idaho.
I love Day of Coke.
I think this is one of the cooler things that I've seen from like a BYU school. To be honest, could you want to elaborate on more?
Dude,
on what
I love Day of Coke. So what we do is we just kind of collect some money, and we'll go buy as many cans of Coke as we can. We've done it 3 semesters in a row now, and we always buy about 100. We buy 4 24 packs, so 96, I think.
Do you want to explain the particular reason why it's Coke at BYU
why
Idaho?
Coke? Why
Because
Coke?
not everyone who listens to this is LDS or super familiar with Mormon culture.
So at BYU Idaho, they don't sell caffeine on campus. Everything is caffeine free, and this goes back to a while back. There's always the stigma in the Mormon culture about caffeine being bad for you because they said don't drink coffee. So a lot of people were trying to look at what's bad in coffee, and they figured it was caffeine. And so there's a lot of Mormons still to this day who think that caffeine is evil, even though the church has explicitly put out a statement saying caffeine is not bad.
Which unfortunately that ruined a lot of my fun because I loved to fake judge people on that and just like guilt trip them for drinking it. But when that came out, it ruined a lot of my fun. And my trolling.
So BYU Idaho still is very adamant against not selling caffeine. BYU is the same way. In fact, BYU, after this church released their statement, a lot of students asked if BYU would start selling caffeine on campus, and they said they didn't think there'd be a market for it. And then a few weeks later,
some people started selling, didn't they?
They accidentally stocked a vending machine with caffeinated Coke. It was a mistake in the order, but the vending machine got stocked with caffeinated. I think it was Coke, might have been Dr. Pepper. It was caffeinated drink of some sort, and it sold out in like 20 minutes.
Oh man!
So I always thought that was funny, and I'm a huge fan of caffeine. I am, and so
I am too, to be honest.
Oh man, I love it, man. It's great. You know, it is probably, there's a lot of people who say it's not a drug or like it's an abused drug. It is. We can't sugarcoat that. It's an abused drug, but when you're moderate with it, when you're fair with it, it's great, and I love it, man. And so at BYU Idaho, they have a testing center there, just like BYU does, and so obviously during finals week, it gets backed up like crazy. And so there's long lines for the testing center. Luckily, most of my classes are usually project based, so I don't really take any tests anymore. I usually turn in projects.
That's good. I was the same way towards the end of my undergrad, and I was so thankful.
Oh, I love that, man. I mean, it's totally stressful leading up to finals. Then during finals week is usually the most relaxing time of the semester for me. Because everything's just done and I can just chill and just wait for those to come back with their grades. But at that point, there's nothing else I can do. So I just kind of relax. So me and some friends came up with this idea called Day of Coke, where we would just go at a busy time and just try to give out as many cans of Coke as we could. We can't sell it on campus. We'll get in trouble for doing that.
Really?
Yeah. So we don't sell it.
So interesting.
We don't sell it. It's an act of service. We go out and we just offer Coke to anyone who wants it because caffeine, a little bit of caffeine before final can be good for you.
I can see that.
For people like me, caffeine can help just kind of revitalize my brain, help me focus a little bit.
Get you going a little.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was the whole idea. It's just an act of service for people who wanted a little boost right before their finals. So for 3 semesters now, we buy about 100 cans of Coke. And all 3 times.
Oh, there's been an ongoing thing.
Yeah, we do it every finals.
Okay, I didn't know this because I've only seen like maybe it was like a year ago.
Yeah, so that's because I was there a year ago. The other 2 times, like we did it in the spring semester, and I was living in Utah for the summer.
Okay.
So my friends kept that tradition going without me.
Oh, nice.
And then we did it again this last semester, but I actually had to leave early because of the big storm that came through right before Christmas. I left early so I could beat the storm. So I wasn't there for it, but I went and bought all the Coke. I kept it at my apartment. And they went
So
and
you
picked
were
it up.
at least funding the Daily
Yeah.
Coke.
Yeah, this is still to be selfish, this is my child. You know, this is my thing. I have some
and
friends.
rightfully so.
I have some friends who are awesome with helping out with it. I was astounded that they kept it going the last semester. And you'll like the story I have about the previous semester. But yeah, so the first semester we did it, we ran out in 20 minutes. I don't remember how fast we ran out in the spring semester, but I just checked in with my friends who distribute it for me. Sound more like a dealer when I say that.
You're like the Breaking Bad. You're like the Walter White of Coke.
Yeah, actually, yeah, absolutely, man.
That's why I say it like that.
Absolutely.
It sounds way more scandalous than it needs to.
That's right, man. So yeah, so the line was when we did it this year, the line was almost a mile long for the finals test. It was long. And so that's when they went, and we ran out in 2 minutes, 100 cans of Coke in 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
They just kind of went and just ripped open the cans. And
did you get like lots of pictures or?
We try to encourage it every time, but it hasn't really taken off yet.
Okay.
I think there's a few reasons to that. One, I'm just not that popular up there. So I think it's just,
not a big man on campus
Yeah,
at BYU, Idaho.
yeah,
What a shame.
I'm not the big fish on campus up there on such a small campus. So I think that's one of them. Is like people are like, who the heck is this kid?
But I know someone's like giving me Coke or whatever, and I'm standing in line. Like,
Yeah.
I would totally like.
So, well, we don't have any shirts or anything saying like, make sure to tweet this out to hashtag Day of Coke, which is our hashtag. We do Day of Coke. So there's just advertising. We'll chalk that up to advertising. We don't really advertise it that well. And so people don't really know, you know, there's just a few lucky people. Like I said, we run out in the longest it's taken is 20 minutes
Wow.
to run out. And we've done this 3 semesters now. So each time there's only 100 people getting that.
Okay.
So I would love to get more. It's just, it's all out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
So
Coca-Cola, if you're listening.
oh
and you
my
wanna
gosh.
Help out.
if Coca-Cola is listening and wants to fund this, oh, that would be so wonderful, man. That would be so wonderful. I actually do tag Coca-Cola and their branding and all my pictures for it.
Oh, nice.
I'm hoping, I would love that. Not many people really know what's going on. It's just kind of a happy, pleasant surprise when we do it,
Yeah.
which is good enough for me. It doesn't need to be a huge thing. I would love for it to be a huge thing, but it doesn't need to be.
To me, it seems huge because it's like things like that don't ever happen.
Right. And so
And when I first saw this, I'm like, oh man, that's genius.
yeah, we almost got in trouble for it.
Really?
Yeah. So this is the spring semester, the one semester I wasn't there, and man, I'm so angry that I wasn't there because I would have had so much fun with it. So we're giving out the cans of Coke, and a faculty comes up, very upset, and tells them that they can't do that. Why not? So you can't sell caffeine on campus. Like we're not selling this. And so she pulls one of my friends into a room and just talks to him in person, trying to figure out what group we're with. Technically,
Group?
so yeah, we're just a group of friends, you know. We all happen to meet at a same club on campus, but it is not affiliated with that club. We're very clear about that.
It's independent.
It is independent. It's my thing. You know, and my friends join me in it. And so, yeah, the teacher was very upset, trying to get them to get in trouble almost for
Wow.
giving out cans of Coke. But ultimately, at the end of the day, nothing could happen because we weren't forcing people to take Coke. We weren't selling it. It was just an act of service, something we were offering.
And it's something so crazy as giving out a can of soda.
Right. And the teacher was upset about it, but you know who loves it is the staff in the testing center. They'll usually come out and take a few from us. So, I mean, like, everyone is cool with it. You know, it's always just a fun event to do.
Yeah.
And it's great. You know, like, people are very grateful for it, appreciative of it. We had someone run from upstairs down to us to try to find a can of Coke. We were out by that time.
Oh,
But
better luck next year, fella.
right. So it's something that I do want to keep going for my time and for what's left of me at BYU Idaho.
How much longer do you have there, by the way?
About 2 semesters. I have this semester, and then I have one more semester, and I'll need to do an internship. So if things go according to plan, I should be done by December of this year.
Okay.
So who knows? Maybe something will pop up here or there, but that's kind of the current plan.
Yeah.
Is that I'll be done by December of this year. So it's something I want to do until I finish, but I would love to see that take off.
Yeah,
I
I
would love
would
to see that
too.
continue without me. People, some people like legacies.
You
No
want that
one-
to be your
I
legacy.
want Coke to be my Day of Coke to be my legacy of like, and I hope people don't even remember who I am. I hope just 20 years in the future.
It's just going.
Yeah. I hope 20 years into a future, like I'm taking my kids up to BYU, Idaho, one of my, my oldest kids going there, and they'll be like,
What?
and in finals, we have Day of Coke. And they'll be like, hey, that's still going on.
You're like,
Yeah, I would love for that to happen. And no one, I could ask, be like, oh, who started that? And be like, oh, we don't know how it started. It's just been a tradition that's going on forever. And I would know that I started it, but no one else would. And I would love that.
oh,
I would love to just silently start a phenomena like that.
Oh man.
And so I
That's-
love Day of Coke though, man. It's 3 semesters now. It's been one of the things I look forward to.
And I hope
every
it
semester.
does pick up too. To be
Me
honest.
too, man. If we could get some more funding, that's basically what it boils down to. We looked for Venmo donations this last semester.
I saw that.
We got $15.
Hey, it's better than
it's much better than nothing. But yeah, so we were still only able to do the 100 cans because we're a little tight for cash.
you're college students,
right.
so-
Right. So yeah, if Coca-Cola is listening and wants to help donate for Day of Coke, which is going to be around April 7th, that's when our finals are,
Ooh.
sometime around then. That would be great. But oh man, it's seriously, I'm happy you picked up on that, man. That's Day of Coke has been so fun to do.
Yeah, it's something I want to talk about because it's awesome.
Oh, I love Coke, man. I love it.
Yeah, Tanner's drinking a Coke right now, and I
Mm.
got a Coke and a water next to me. And most of the time when I'm recording these shows with someone else, there's usually a Coke present in the room. So another thing besides Day of Coke that I kind of want to bring up, you do one of your unique talents. You have many. Is you do stand up
I do. Yeah.
as well, and I don't know too terribly much about that. I kind of wanted to just gloss over that a little bit. Just mention like, hey, Tanner does stand up. He's a funny guy, obviously.
Yeah, I do. I'm part of a group up there at BYU, Idaho called the Joker's Crew. We do a few shows a semester.
Nice. And so you're also a musician. You do a lot of different things, and I wanted to bring up these different talents and just things that Tanner does because I wanted to get into the most interesting thing about you. And I guess before I even touch on that, I want to mention this. This is you're a pretty artistic fellow. I want to say it's like when I first met you. It was like one time when I was over at your apartment. Tanner used to live pretty much the same building I did
Mhm.
a while ago in the same apartment complex. And I went into your room and there's this picture called American Realism.
Oh yes. Oh man, I forgot about that. I don't even know where that is anymore.
What? No.
Yeah.
So
Oh, man.
I have a picture of it. I'll post this up on the website for those who are listening that can go check it out. It'll be in the episode. And it says American Realism, and it's a picture of a man with a hat, and he's rowing a boat, and there's a couple other boats. And there's this picture of this red one-eyed monster. Looks like it's kind of floating away, and it has a hammer and sickle on it. And there's a bald eagle shooting a laser beam at it that's like bouncing off of the red communist monster. And the eagle has a red wing. It's a bald eagle, by the way. A red wing, a blue wing, and in the middle, it's like a star, like Captain America-esque star.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I was just like, man, that is so cool.
Oh man, I had
And-
forgotten about that.
and I took a picture of it because I was just like, it's not something you see every day. It's like you took some regular piece of artwork and then you added it like this own real American realism element to it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so it was creative, but it was hilarious at the same time.
I did that on a date. That was
Really?
Yeah. If you're in Happy Valley and want to look for a cheap date, this is what I did, and it was actually a blast. I don't remember the girl at all. I don't think I got a second date out of it, but it was I don't remember who it was at all or anything like that. But we went to DI, and
the Desert Industries, also
a
known
thrift
as,
store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cheap thrift store. It's basically the Goodwill of Happy Valley,
Yeah,
Utah.
yeah, definitely. So went to a DI or a thrift store, and we just looked through the paintings And we both picked out one that we thought was interesting. And then I had construction paper and paints and other craft kind of stuff at the apartment, and we just painted over it.
Oh man.
That was inspired by Altered Reality, I think is her name. She does a lot of artwork at Comic-Con,
Okay.
at the Salt Lake Comic-Con. She does a lot of that cool stuff. Like there's a really cool one of like this really nice country road, and she painted Mario Kart characters into it.
Oh, nice.
So it's not like it was a totally original idea.
But it was still
Well,
really cool.
Yeah, it was an original work by me to add that in there, but it's not like I thought it'd be funny. It's not like I thought on my own.
Good
I should
artist
add
take,
stuff to it.
good
Yeah.
artist take, great artist steal.
Right. So I was inspired by Altered Reality on that. Altered Landscapes, maybe. It might be Altered Landscapes.
I'm sad you don't know where it is.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it's got to be in storage somewhere
Because
I've got so much just hidden away.
it was it was like one of my favorite things. Like I was giggling about that for quite a while.
Dude, that one was fun. I'll just have to go find another painting and do it again. Oh man, I do remember that. That was a fun one, man.
So, in addition to all of this stuff that we just mentioned, you have a rather other unique talent, which is sewing.
Yeah.
You don't really see that much from dudes.
Yeah, from straight white Christian men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like how you had to specify all of those demographics. Straight white Christian man.
Yeah. Usually one of those is wrong when you see it in the fashion world, it seems like. Yeah, it's a blast. I love it. That's actually my major up at BYU Idaho is I study fashion design. Technically I study
Is that what I guess that's not what the major is
the major's
called.
called clothing construction or apparel. It might be apparel design. I can't even remember because I just tell people fashion design because
It sounds way cooler.
it's just easier to understand too. Because like you say clothing construction, like so you make like overalls for like construction workers.
Fashion apparel.
Yeah,
It
it's just
sounds
when
like
I say
a bad
fashion design, it's just a lot easier to
Yeah,
say.
and fashion apparel sounds like an American Eagle buzz term. Like that's something I would
That does.
I would hear
Tan
from
Tans,
there.
Fashion apparel.
Yes, there you go.
Fashion apparel.
Is that so you've made a lot of unique things that I've seen you. I've seen you make it looked like a leather jacket. Was it leather or
80% leather?
80% leather?
It was. I don't know how that works.
But either way,
yeah, it was.
Say you made your own like leather jacket. That's kind of a feat.
Yeah, that was my final for pattern making project. That's the second or third class you'll take when you're up there.
Okay, when I arrive.
Yeah, for real. Well, for anyone who's
for anyone who goes,
anyone who's interested, it's a growing program, which is great too. It was a blast.
Is it kind of strange that you're like are you the only? I guess I should ask this. Are you the only dude in there?
No, I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, there's.
Well, hold on. Are you the only straight white Christian male in there, or?
Well, I guess there's surprises everywhere, but as far as I know, no, I'm not. It seems like everyone else is the same demographic I am.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm not. In fact, in one of my senior level classes, there's another guy there with me. So it's very rare. There's only in the major itself, there's only 4 or 5 that I know of.
Okay.
So and that's out of 80 or 90 people total.
Is it kind of cool because like when you go to class, it's just like tons of chicks, and you're like, yeah.
I don't. People ask that. I don't really think in that way when I'm in class. I try to keep class and relationships separate because it's bitten me in the butt in the past. So, I tried to date this one girl in a class when I went to UVU, and it just made the entire semester awkward after that. And so, because of that, when I go to class, it's class.
Yeah.
And afterwards, and in outside activities, that's when I try to date around and stuff. So, no, it's not that weird for me.
Okay.
But it is incredibly common for me to be the only guy in my class.
Because I know when I was doing film, it was always I would go to class and there'd be like 1 or 2 chicks. And I'd be like, nah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I was like, I wonder what it'd be like to have the opposite.
Right. I've heard engineering's the kind of the same way the girls have their choice of men if they're in the engineering
Oh, I
field.
bet they're pick of nerds right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
You have
absolutely.
plenty of nerds to sire your
Hey, some of
children.
those some of those nerds get good looking these days too, you know. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to be the nerd now.
My
And so
my brother is actually an engineer.
really,
My younger brother, and my dad is also an engineer.
yeah, my father was too.
I obviously am not an engineer by any means. So you made a leather jacket,
Yeah.
80% leather enough to me, being the vegetarian I am.
It was recycled leather, I think, though.
Yeah,
So at least
I don't I won't condemn you over it. I'm not that type of vegetarian, but I could be. And then like one thing I've seen you make quite a bit of is you make suit coats a lot.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to perfect myself
Now,
is with suit coats.
are you moving into suit coats or suits period?
So, funny you should ask. Right now, suit coats, but I would love to get better with making suits as an ensemble. So, like vests and pants as well. There's a project that I'm going to start for myself called 20 Pants, where I'm just going to make 20 pairs of pants. And hopefully by the end of that run, I haven't set a timeline to myself, so I don't know if I'm going to try to do this. Obviously, not within one semester's worth because the semester's way too crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know if I want to do it in 6 months or a year or 5 years. But I want to make 20 pairs of pants, and hopefully by the end of that run, be near perfect
Yeah.
at making pants. And so a few of those times, I'm just going to try to make a pair in 5 hours, which is how I started the project. I did a 5 hour pair of pants. They're all right. There's a lot that needs to be fixed on them, a lot that need to be made better. And so hopefully by the end of that run, and with working with suits as well and suit coats, I would love to be able to make a full suit ensemble.
And I would assume just basing off of like body types and stuff like that, I would assume suit coats would be way easier to make than pants.
No, oh no,
Really, it's
yeah,
the
pants.
opposite.
Yeah,
Okay.
it kind of depends on what techniques and stuff like that. But suit coats, um, like I could make a pair of pants in 5 hours. I did that already, and that was from scratch. So like drafting the pattern on paper, cutting it out of the fabric, and putting it together and making a completed set. I can do that in about 5 hours. Suit coat at the worst, I could probably do in about 15.
Oh.
And so yeah, there's just a lot more. I mean, a suit coat is easily the most tailored piece of garment a man will wear.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's just a lot of like go to a thrift store and get a suit coat and just open it up. Like take a pair of scissors or a seam ripper if you have one. Most people won't, so just take a pair of scissors and just open it up and look inside the lining. It is a mess in between the outside layer and the lining. It's a mess inside of facings and other material and padding to give it that structure and that look that it has. So the
Hmm.
suit coat has a whole lot more going on to it than a pair of pants does.
Have you made a lot of suit coats for other people or just mostly like for yourself? Because the ones I've seen through social media has been mostly just you wearing
Yeah.
them, and they look great. They're really unique.
I've made 3 now, and all of them have been for me.
Okay.
So I made a jean jacket for a girl.
Really? That
Uh-huh.
sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was for my line collection class last semester. Um, so yeah, I made a jean jacket, and then I think that's it as far as coats go. Some guy wants me to make him a jacket out of Gore-Tex material, which is a really nice water resistant material. So that might be happening soon. These next few months is just super busy for me though. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much time I have for other clients. So um, so yeah, I haven't made any for anyone else yet. I would love to get in there soon though,
Okay.
to start making them for other people because I feel like a stronger portfolio. It's cool to have stuff for yourself,
Yeah.
but a stronger portfolio is one where you can show that you can make things for other people too.
Exactly.
And so that's what I need to really focus on.
What I've noticed you have like a really unique style with all of your coats as far as the material. I noticed it's kind of based around for those at home, Tanner's just like kind of nodding like yeah. It's very flower based. Is that like just your personal preference
Yeah, it's kind of
of material, or have you always been kind of like a flower esque guy.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of floral. I love floral. You can see I'm wearing floral shoes
I was
right now.
just about to say that.
I do. I love floral. And when I started sewing, one of the first projects I ever did was my jean pockets had ripped. And so I took some floral fabric and made a pocket out of that and just reattached it to my jeans. So just took out that pocket and made a floral pocket instead. And that became huge. People love that. I loved it because it meant people were looking at my butt. But that just kind of became a calling card for me, is putting floral in just about everything. The line collection one, not so much. The line collection was based off Mars and the inspiration of people trying to go to Mars.
Okay.
And things like that. So that was more reds. But yeah, the suit coat that I have, I was just browsing around a fabric store and I saw that fabric and immediately knew what I was going to do with it.
Oh, nice.
It was no question. I think it's supposed to be curtains, that fabric.
So
I think it was supposed to be curtains, but I figured it's sturdy enough to make a suit coat out of. So
yeah. So you probably get this a lot. Why sewing?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's probably the easiest answer. So when I was a little kid, my dad would always give me like Legos for my birthday and Christmas and stuff like that, and I would make them right away. My dad was just telling me this last Christmas. My dad had hoped it would be a father-son bonding activity where he could sit down and help me make Legos. But as early as 5, I'd get them and just done. Just look at the directions, look at the Legos, and get it all together. And I loved it, man. I loved Legos. I loved putting things together. And that's kind of where the start of it came. I loved the idea of making something from scratch. That's why I love all these art projects. That's why I love art. That's why I was graphic design when I was at UVU. And then I was studying sculpture as well. I love the idea of taking just raw material and making something out of it. Cooking, art and design. A lot of those things have that same process. And so when I had went up to BYU, Idaho, my parents had left for a church service trip for 3 years to the Philippines. And so they sold their house in Ohio that I had grown up in.
Aww.
And at that point I was 25, 24. So it wasn't too hard, like I had moved on already. And part of that is they didn't have room for some of their storage. So the sons in my family, we all took some stuff from the house. So my mom gave me the sewing machine, said, I want you to have this. And so I had the sewing machine. I love the idea of putting things together, but I had no idea how to use it.
Yeah. And you're like about 25 at the time.
This was before I had moved to BYU, Idaho, before I transferred up there. So I was still at UVU. And one of my first projects, I just kind of Googled how to make things, and I made a pillow that looks like poop. Just to throw at people, I don't know why. It was just funny to me. That's the only reason I made it, is because it was funny to me. So when I went up to BYU, Idaho, I had the sewing machine and I saw that there's a class. I still intended on doing graphic design when I was up there. But I saw that there's a clothing construction beginners class. And I thought, sweet, I'll just learn how to use this machine, maybe do some projects on the side. That'll be fun. Because like when I was a little kid, I always thought it'd be cool to make your own pairs of shorts. I always wanted to buy Spider-Man fabric and make Spider-Man shorts.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I know why Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man ever since
Spider-Man's
I
a
was
great superhero.
I love the idea of making something cool and then people asking where you got it and you could say I made it. I love that idea of like when I was a kid and watching the Oscars, I had dreamed about becoming an actor and making my own suit.
Ooh.
And so people would say, "Who are you wearing?" And I'd be like, I made this. And that's kind of the start of where sewing came from, was the idea of just making a suit or making, a pair of pants and things like that.
Oddly enough, I got to mention this. I had a friend. He was my guitarist in high school. He made for prom. He made a suit out of duct tape.
Yeah,
and he ended up the pants tore, but he still had the jacket. And so hearing the suit story, like I made this. Yours sounds a lot more professional, obviously.
Yeah.
At the Oscars, he's like going to prom, with the duct tape.
There's
suit.
something cool about the duct tape prom suits,
Which it was really cool. What
yeah.
he did, he sent me pictures of it while I was on my LDS mission. And I
Uh-huh.
saw it and I'm like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's something way cool about that. Something that I had heard about in high school too about kids doing that because supposedly like you can get scholarships
Oh,
if you do
really?
that. If you yeah, there's some duct tape company. I'm not sure if they still do this, but when I was in high school, they had mentioned that if you made a duct tape soup, you could get like $1,000 to whatever college you're going to,
Wow.
something like that. So it's not like full ride or anything, but still
Money's
recognition
money.
that yeah, money is money. Um, I'm not sure if that's still going on, but yeah, so that's kind of where it started too. Is when I was a kid, I liked the idea of just making a suit. I had no intention of getting into fashion design or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when I went to BYU Idaho and I saw that class, it was fun. We made a pillowcase, a t-shirt, a button-up t-shirt, a skirt, and a pair of pajama pants. They're just super basic ones, but I had learned how to sew. That was
Mhm.
the important part. And so at the end of that semester, I had found out there is a pattern making class, which is where you can make flat patterns. So a pattern is what you cut out of the fabric and follow the directions and things like that. It's what tells you how to make a garment or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's a class that teaches you how to make patterns, how to make from scratch something. And I thought this is what I want right here. And I thought that would be my stopping point is learning how to just draft from scratch patterns. And then I could do
But then
whatever
as
I
you
want.
got into that, you're like, I could do
Exactly.
more.
It was the end of that semester. I had made quite a few friends at that point in the program. My teacher for that class was one of the higher ups for the apparel major. And so it was by that semester that I realized, you know what, this is a lot like design in just a different way. And so I had switched over from graphic design to fashion design at that point. And then, yeah, it's just been that ever since. And then it was the next semester that I made my suit.
Nice.
I made the suit coat and then I made a pair of pants to match with the suit. And so that I finally got to do what I wanted to do as a little kid, which was wear a suit somewhere. It's usually to church for me.
Yeah.
And people, it's a very vibrant suit coat. It's not subtle in any way.
We'll have pictures of it on the
Yeah, for sure. And
website for
I'll
the
provide you
episode.
I'll provide you links if you need. Um, so it's not subtle in any way. And so people all the time be like, dude, that's an awesome suit. Where'd you get it? And I get to smile and say, I actually made this. And the first time I got to do that, it was almost as if, like those movie flashbacks of just realizing that there is an achievement unlocked, like that's what it should have been. It should have been like an Xbox
Achievement unlocked.
achievement unlocked. It was a fulfillment of a dream that I've had since I was a little kid. And it was such a great feeling. And it's something that I've only wanted to take more. Um, it's something that it didn't stop there. I just want to keep making more and more stuff now where I can be proud of what I made and hopefully get other people to enjoy as well.
So what is your I don't want to say end game, but like what are your plans after graduation? Like what do you plan on doing with your degree?
A job is number one. Anything in the field that will hire me is great. But more specifically, I would love to work in athletic apparel.
Okay.
Something like Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, design jerseys and help make jerseys for teams and, shoes and all that athletic apparel. That would be where I'd love to be.
Okay.
And that again stems to when I was a little kid and making up my own teams and, just drawing on
Yeah, you're kind of
paper.
a sports guy, aren't you?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I do. I love sports.
Like I know you.
I do. Yeah, I do. I love watching sports. I love playing sports. Which is another thing that kind of sets me aside from other people in my major,
I'm into
is
fashion, but I
yeah.
like sports.
Yeah. It's things you don't really see. I love contrast. We'll put it that way. But yeah, I love sports, and so I would love to get into athletic apparel. If that doesn't work, or another area that I'm looking into is costuming
Oh.
for theaters. And
Okay.
Hollywood would be great. I don't really want to live in California.
LA is awesome.
I'm sure it is.
I don't care what anyone says. LA is the best, but
There's-
I'm a little biased.
Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons to love places like LA. One, the fashion district in LA, I could get a lot of great material for cheap.
The Los Angeles Fashion District. I'm telling. Have you been there?
No, I actually haven't been there yet.
I've been there. Man, it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's so unique and it's really cool and ghetto and creative and all at the same time. It's like the first time I went there. It's also the derogatory term for it is also called the alley
Okay.
as well, which is kind of next to the fashion district, which is it's kind of an alley somewhat behind the stores of the fashion district. And what it is everyone's selling really cheap apparel,
Oh,
like
okay.
knockoffs that are made within some of the buildings that are around there
Okay.
as well. So I mean,
there's a lot to love about LA
yeah,
and New York. New York's another place that would be a possible, employment place for me. And I like New York as well. The problem is I also like space. I like I don't mind big cities, but I love knowing I can get away if I want to.
understood.
Like I grew up in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati was a perfect city for me because it's a decent sized city. It's the largest in Ohio that I know of, if you count the greater area. So I think Columbus and Cleveland are bigger in state, but Cincinnati has includes Indiana and Kentucky as well. Um, so it's a big city that you can go explore, but then when you're ready to leave, you can leave. And New York City was a blast, but it was hard to get out of. And same with LA. I haven't been to LA yet, but
LA
it's that
is
same.
LA is hard to get out of. I mean, unless like you want to go up to Malibu to hike,
Right,
but generally LA is super hard to get out of, which
right, and that's
I don't really mind. I've
so
lived
that's
I lived there before. I love it, but other people don't, and I get that.
that's something that if I get a job out in LA, which it's likely, like that's where a lot of employment opportunities are. Um, I'll have to get over that hump. But another place that does have a lot of jobs actually is Dallas.
Really?
And Dallas is another one of those cities where it's a great big city, but you can get out pretty easily. And I've been to Texas a few times. I love Texas. I've been to Dallas, and it's a great city. So that's one of the places. I don't know of a lot of specific jobs down there, but I do know that there's quite a few gigs down there. And so if I can get
Nice.
out down there, get away from Rexburg, get away from the cold of Rexburg, that would be great. So the end game is athletic apparel would be my number one choice.
Nice.
Costuming would be number two, and then a job would be number three. But number one on all of those is getting away from Rexburg.
Yeah.
That's number
the
one.
most important is getting out of Rexburg, Idaho.
The school is fine. The town is tiny. And I know I just said I like having my space, but a little too much in Rexburg.
Yeah. I've heard stories.
Yeah, it's a small country town, and and it's cold. It is unforgivingly cold.
Unforgivingly.
It doesn't care what you think, man. It's
Rexburg
cold.
or the cold of Rexburg or both.
Yeah, for real. Like, have you seen the movie Groundhog Day?
Yeah, I have.
They explain Rexburg in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's where he gets all angry when he's frustrated with being the same day over and over, and he looks at the camera. He goes, "What's the forecast? I'll give you the forecast. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be dark, and it's going to last you the rest of your life." That's Rexburg. Like even when I'm away from it, I feel like I haven't escaped it. Like it's just that
the shadow of it just looms
yeah,
over you.
no, totally, man, totally. And there's a lot of good things to say about Rexburg. I shouldn't diss on it completely, but man,
I live in Provo and I diss on this place all the time.
yeah, it's true.
In fact, that's kind of all I do. Bringing up Provo. I mean, Provo does have its pros, but I'd rather diss on this place
For sure.
than promote it.
Happy Valley Hate.
So if I never see snow again, I'm almost going to be okay with that. Like I know a lot of people are like, "I love the snow." It's like, well, I did love the snow.
Yeah, I hear you. I've grown out of it too.
But I'm ready to if I find a job in Arizona, I will take it and never look back. Or like Dallas. I guess Dallas can get some, but it's like super rare,
Yeah.
So I will totally go to places like that and never look back.
Nice.
So yeah, getting out of Rexburg. That's my end game.
That's your end game. Okay. Tanner, is there anything else that you want to mention? At all about your clothing or anything else that you wanted to just throw out there?
No, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'll have you on again. We'll try to have you on again sometime.
Oh, for sure. My parents actually live here now, so
yes,
it's easier for me to come down to Provo. I have my big class of semester's bridal. I'm making a wedding dress.
Talk about this a little bit.
Yeah. So there's it up there, the senior level classes is called 490. 490R, which means it's a repeatable class. You have to take it at least twice, I think, for a few credits each time. And each semester it changes. So it's not like you're taking the same class each semester. You're just taking the same class code. And so last semester it was line collection, where you had to design and create your own line of clothing. Very intense. This semester is just as intense, but it's one project, and it's a wedding dress.
Wow.
So I have to make a wedding dress for someone, and you probably saw me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I had 2 other wedding clients before I got this one because they had to back out for various reasons. So I have a bridal client who lives in Murray, it's kind of rough, but
'Cause you're up in Idaho.
right. So it's at least a 3-hour drive just to go get test fittings and things like that. But it's a really good friend of mine's fiance, so I'm willing to bend a little bit on this one. It's not the most convenient. If I looked harder, I could have found someone up in Rexburg, but it's a friend of mine's fiance, so I'm willing to bend for that. But by the end of this semester, I'll have made a wedding dress for someone who's going to get married in it.
That's pretty cool.
They're getting married in June, so
Yes, the time to get married.
yeah, for real. Well, my friend's a teacher in high school.
Oh.
I can't remember what she does, but he's a teacher in high school, so it's easier for them to wait for the school year to end.
Yeah.
They're going stereotypical time, but they're great. I'm super excited for it. We actually just finalized on our design, and I'm going to start doing some mock-ups this next week and getting some sample fabrics so we can look at those and see which ones we want to make out of it. But it is by far the most intense project I'll do to date, and it's terrifying because it's for a client.
Yeah.
This time it's not for me. Even line collection, I had 3 models last semester and myself for line collection. But they were just models, they were just wearing what I designed. They just had to make it look good.
Whereas this person's going to be using it.
Right. And it's to her wants, like I'm putting a lot of my own design touches into it, as I should, but it all goes on her input. Everything that I do has to be verified by her. And that's kind of terrifying.
Especially since she's kind of far away as well.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be one of the most intense projects I've done to date. And then this semester, it's not any easier either because I have that class, and then I have a graphic design class because I'm still taking some graphic design classes, photography class, home decor will be easy. That's one of my classes I'm taking. And then, but my other big class is corset making. They're actually letting us learn how to make corsets up there because
you're gonna be like the ultimate wedding planner.
Oh my gosh, I hope so, man. And who knows?
You might end up back here.
No, yeah, and I could, and I wouldn't mind it. Like I know Happy Valley has a lot to rip on, but if I ended up back here, I'd probably move to like Lehigh or American Forks, somewhere close to Utah County, but
out of Provo.
Definitely
out of Provo.
But if I could freelance just making wedding dresses for people, that might not be too bad.
No, it would not.
I wouldn't mind it. And there's definitely a market out here. That's another one where I could definitely move down south though and get a market down there as well.
And the end game is out of Rexburg.
Yes, yeah, the end game is out of Rexburg. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be very employable by the time I'm done, and hopefully I'll have a portfolio when I'm done that's diverse to the point where people say we can trust him for just about anything here. That's a big end game as well, is having a portfolio where people go, yeah, this guy will definitely be reliable.
Nice. Well, I wish you luck.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on today. I'll try to get you on another time, and we'll discuss some topics.
I will happily do it, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that's our show. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the MCS1 show. For bi-weekly episodes on society and counterculture, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For regular updates, show notes, and links, head to the MCS1show.com or search AOL keyword MCS1.